Now, breaking news from NBC4.
That breaking news, we are getting our first look at what led to a deadly shooting involving a Blendon Township police officer and a pregnant woman. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jennifer Bullock. We are going to walk you through this video, but we do recognize not everyone wants to see this. So we want to warn you, some of these images will be disturbing. Now is the time to mute the television or leave the room. Today's body camera release comes 8 days after Takaya Young was shot in the Kroger parking lot on Sunbury Road. On August 24th, Blendon Township's police chief John Belford says the 21-year-old was one of several people stealing alcohol. When police were alerted, officers say Young was in her vehicle and was asked several times to get out. Police then say Young put the car in gear and drove toward an officer. Chief Belford says Young was given aid on the scene, but later died from her injuries. Once again, we are going to show you that video from the police officers from that night, and we are bringing you team coverage of the release of the video. NBC4's Caleb Michael stands by with reaction from Young's family attorney. Eric Halperin brings us new reaction from the Fraternal Order of Police, but we begin with NBC4's Jamie Ostroff. She'll walk us through more of that newly released video, again warning you ahead of time that we are about to show you could be disturbing in case you would like to step away. Jamie?
Yeah, Jen, what we are going to show you is body-worn camera footage from each of the two officers who were involved in that incident last Thursday. Each video is just over 1 minute long as the confrontation with Takaya Young plays out in a matter of seconds. The first officer to interact with Takaya Young approaches her car under the suspicion that she stole liquor from Kroger.
Hey, stop. Hey, out of the car. Out of the car.
By the time the second officer gets to the car and walks in front of it, the first officer had asked Young to get out 5 times. He keeps asking. Young argues. You can hear the exchange on that officer's body-worn camera.
Out of the car. Out of the car. They said you stole stuff, do not leave. Get out of the car. Then get out. No, then get out. Get out of the car.
Young begins to drive. In this freeze frame, you can see the car make contact with the officer standing at the front of the car as his feet leave the ground. That is when that officer fires one shot through the windshield. We paused the video to not show that deadly shot. When we pick up the video a moment later, you can hear the commands continue. The car rolls through the parking lot, stopping under the awning by the store. The video ends with officers busting the driver's side window to get Young out of the car. Now, you may have also noticed in that video that Blendon Township Police did not identify either of the officers, going as far as blurring their faces and their badges. In a written statement, Chief John Belford alluded to Marsy's Law, claiming the two officers are crime victims, and he believes their identities are protected by state law.
All right, Jamie, thank you. NBC4's Caleb Michael joins us live now at Blendon Township Police Department after speaking with Young's family's attorney. Caleb, what are they telling you?
Jen, they're telling me this situation is heartbreaking and that Takaya Young did not have to die. Now, we have been here at the Blendon Township Police Department to see Takaya Young's family come here this morning to view that body camera video. They were inside for less than 10 minutes. When they came back outside, it was silent. They were visibly upset. You could see them crying, hugging one another. Then they got into their cars and they drove away. Now, just a few minutes after that is when the Blendon Township Police Department released that video publicly. With it, a statement detailing the process they went through to get to this point and why it took them more than a week. Chief John Belford says this situation is a tragedy and is asking for prayers to the family during this time. Sean Walton, an attorney representing the family, says they were not ready to speak on camera today, but I did ask him what his initial reaction was to seeing the video.
I mean, the video is heartbreaking. You know, what we see is an officer who escalates a situation. You know, he goes to stand in front of the vehicle, places his hand on the vehicle, and almost immediately pulls his gun out. You know, I still can't quite understand why his gun came out. It's almost as if he was looking for a gunfight in a situation where Takaya was unarmed.
Jen, we also learned that the officer who did not fire their weapon is back on active duty, but that other officer who did fire their weapon is on leave pending a review. Local for you in Blendon Township, I'm Caleb Michael, NBC4.
Caleb, thank you. Today, we are also hearing from the police union about the release of the Blendon Township body camera video. NBC4's Eric Halperin spoke with Fraternal Order of Police leadership. Eric, what are they saying about this?
Jen, the executive vice president of the police union, just finished talking with reporters about a half an hour ago. He says this video is hard to watch and that the union's thoughts are with everyone involved. FOP Lodge 9 executive vice president Brian Steele says it's even harder to watch the video knowing it ends with the loss of life. However, he also says the community can't just look at the end result and should look at the situation as a whole. He mentioned how Young was ordered to get out of the car several times and did not listen to police. One of the questions Steele was asked is, does he think the Blendon Township officer should have fired his weapon in this situation? Here's part of his response.
Outside looking in, based on my training and experience from what I saw in that video, I believe it was, I understand why it could be justified, but again, I don't make that decision. Ultimately, a grand jury is going to make that decision.
And Steele also said that the union is not representing the officer legally in this situation because the union does not represent officers in criminal investigations. Local for you, I'm Eric Halperin, NBC4.
Eric, thank you. Of course, we will continue to follow this breaking news story throughout the day here on air and online. Right now, this story is at the top of our homepage on NBC4i.com.